What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 33 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Karl Franz Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, Volkmar the Grim and his armies of Sigmar made their debut, although I suppose once again all of our armies are armies of Sigmar, so lots of fighting for Sigmarites all over the place basically, and we got a few more armies of that light in tow, as in moving to, okay, not you, but moving to where they will soon be fighting, and I got another one with more Sigmarite disciples into Togengard up north as well, together with the cannons, and maybe something else cooking, but we'll see. It depends. We are obviously reaching the end of the campaign. We're very close to it now, I think, especially because the next campaign will probably be dropping next week, and thus we have to, we have to make good on getting some critical targets out, just because we have to. Like, for example, the Demon Prince. So we're going to start this particular episode off as it's a new turn and everybody still has to move, with going immediately after Gulgas, who is the Demon Prince around these parts, though I'd wager not for long. Close victory, low casualties, but he didn't run away like so many, including Skarbrand, have, and we will honor him by bonking him in the face personally in a cinematic fight with Karl. He's level 24, which isn't too bad for the AI, but obviously I'd wager that he stands no chance against Karl, such as he is. Anyway, let's find out for sure. Go.
The Empire endures!
Alrighty, well, our empire endures, all the others not so sure. Anyway, here we go, the Demon Prince stands against us, and interesting to see that his entire army is maxed out in terms of their veterancy tier. I wonder if this is his starting army. I don't remember what units he starts with and like what elites, so I don't know whether it is. I do imagine that he starts with a unit of plague drones, so maybe this is indeed his army. But anyway, as to whether he's ever suffered a defeat or not, I'd wager he's going to suffer one here. Karl Franz moves towards him, activates Heroic Killing Blow, and Galmaraz bumping his weapon strength up to 2.2k. And with the first strike taking about 40% of the HP off of the Demon Prince, a second strike will deliver another another 30 or so percent, and then one more strike should bring him down. It looks like that one actually missed, but the next hit strike will bring him down. I'm getting a little bit staggered by the pink horrors supporting, but not staggered enough to prevent the bring down of the Demon Prince. Took a lot longer to bring Skarbrand down by the looks of it. Anyway, after the Demon Prince, we do have an enemy Luris down here. And with all of the pink horrors, including the sour guts firing away at Karl Franz, the staggers that they're causing to the Griffin means that Karl hasn't actually managed to land a blow, which is quite interesting, but also quite annoying. You can see that the Allurus is at full HP. Go figure. So I guess it's disadvantageous to fight like this. Nonetheless, so while our army is still sitting up on top of that hill, Karl is going to do a little bit of showing off. The Furies actually move in and actually do provide us a lot of benefit as Karl manages to land 2 blows, and with those 2 blows, kill the Allurus as soon as those Sour Guts and Pink Horrors stop fighting. And it looks like the Griffin gets to immediately lift off, which is kind of interesting. I do wonder whether some units lift off easier or quicker than other units do, because I've definitely seen Elspeth sort of her Carbine Dragon sort of walk on the ground for a much longer time before lifting off like that. It's interesting. Either way, still a little bit more work to do, and no magics to support Karl. He's been doing all this fighting just by himself, and I was interested to see whether how many casualties Karl would need to essentially inflict upon the enemy army before the enemy army was ready to move towards us. Of course, air superiority, despite us only having the 1 air unit here, should definitely be ours, as good luck to anything even attempting to bring Karl down. Every blow from Deathclaw bringing, I don't know, half a dozen Furies, if not a dozen down from the sky each time. And the Furies are just a bonus, because in reality Karl is actually attacking those plague drones and bringing them down periodically as well. How's he for HP after all this? He has lost about 30% of his HP so far. He's got that stand your ground back up and running, though it'll be a bit before he can reactivate Galmaraz and such. And the plague drones are nearly out, the Furies are nearly out, and I guess there's probably more air units to fight as well. Still, the main enemy host is not yet moving towards us, which is interesting. And just how many units will Karl kill before they do? And obviously we don't need to do this, I just wanted to make sure that Karl got to play. Especially against this particular army, and especially because the Demon Prince died so dang quickly. Getting bonked by Galmaraz, though, is probably does make sense as to why that was so quick. Anyway, more Furies drop out of the sky with every blow. Another unit will be dropped down to about 80% of its HP. A couple more hits from Karl, and this unit will be done for as well. Karl is down to about 60% of his HP now. Man, imagine if we had used the Life Wizard in this army. Again, it is the better pick for Karl, but it's more interesting to allow him to be able to get hurt. So eventually, when he encounters Archaon, well, if we actually ever find Archaon, he hasn't showed himself in Kislev, surprisingly. If we do, then, well, Archaon will actually have a chance. Anyway, Karl has killed off every single flying unit over on the enemy's right flank, and now moves to the left. Just gonna speed this up a little bit as we head towards him, and frankly, alright, we've seen the animations of Karl and Deathclaw attacking a million times, maybe a couple more, and then we'll just speed through it until the rest of the enemy are done. Okay, wait, how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, they disappeared too quick. I was curious as to how many died with each blow. Definitely more than 6. I counted 9 in that one, I think. But only 5 in that one. Well, I guess it also does depend on how many are sort of blobbed up around in which particular location. Anyway, I don't think piles of Furies, no matter how many, have too great a chance for killing off Karl. Although, he's down to close to half HP now, which is pretty good. These guys do have very solid armor-piercing damage. Chaos Furies are fairly good at dealing damage, even if they are fairly fragile. So they are getting those hits in here and there. We do, however, have a healing potion available to us, and could probably do this for a while longer, though it looks like we won't be needing to, as these are the last Furies and the last aerial units left to the enemy. I wonder what the army is talking about while sitting there and watching Karl do all the work up in the air. Taking bets, perhaps? Yeah, but would it be? I don't know. Seems in poor taste to bet against the Emperor, maybe? Anyway, let's speed it up again. We are done with the rest of the Air Force, and now it's time to activate that potion of healing and get our HP back up and running. Still, the enemy refuses to move towards us, so we're going to annoy them a little bit more with the Noble Sons Abroad. They may not have magical damage, but the Demonettes are so fragile that they don't need magical damage, and just gun them down the old-fashioned way. And of course slow them down as well, as with the stagger shot they move at 14.9, no, down to 16 speed. Huh, I saw it drop from 49 to 16, I guess. Oh, demonic instability also significantly slows them down as well. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I didn't realize demonic instability conferred a move speed debuff. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Might switch the way that I fight against demonic armies in some situations. As in, it might be better to then switch targets as soon as an enemy moves into demonic instability to the next target, and just to confer as much of that movement slowdown as possible. Anyway, the enemy is moving towards us at last, and the Noble Sons Abroad will move through our battle lines. The Bordermen, of course, here ready to support, only 2 of them perhaps, but Grenadiers, as we've seen time and time again, are pretty darn devastating. Funnily enough, less devastating in the all-Grenadier army, but that's kind of the idea. With this, we have a pretty big old melee line, and everybody can shield the Bordermen and allow them to fire off and do as much damage as they can or need to. And there we go. Great swords and Teutogan Guard facing off against Demonettes and Bloodletters alike, but even without magical damage, I don't think the latter two stand too much of a chance. Karl has joined the fray once more over on the left flank, where a big old blob of various different kinds of enemy units, demonic and mundane, are actually the ones getting overrun by ours. Of course, Ludwig Schwarzhelm has joined the fray, leading the Royal Altdorf Griffites into the fray against the Slaneshi, Kornite, and Zinchen demons. And I don't know Nurglite demons in this particular army. I guess the Plague Drones were the only Nurglite presence, huh? Go figure. I say go figure because the territory that we had just conquered from the Demon Prince was a Nurglite territory, as in it had all Nurgle corruption. Oh well, it'll be uncorrupted as soon enough. With that, the enemy army shatters and the battle is ours. Just gonna have to wait out until the last of the blue and pink horrors melt away. Of course, the enemy units of Marauders, the mortal units, are still running and will cast a few spells in their way, though since this is a settlement, there isn't any real need. I do love watching those noble sons abroad, or just pistoliers in general, fire away with those dual pistols of theirs. And like Slayer Pirates or like Free Company Militia, just gotta make sure I don't over-spam the units. Alright, there we go. No problem at all. Karl, well, showed off a little bit. 370 kills and 69. Nice 1,000 damage. Oh, that reminds me, we should get the anti-Slaneshi ancillaries on these guys. But anyway, yeah, Karl showed off, bonked the Demon Prince with, basically killed him in the 3 hits, although he was already extremely low. From the first 2, he hits for 2.2k when he has all of his buffs active. So Karl is pretty nasty when he gets going. Slaneshi giggle. Anyway, the enemy is completely destroyed. We have comparatively little casualties as well. And, ooh, you know what we should do? We should sack the place. Sack. This way we can, okay, yeah, there we go. Diplomatic relations with all Kislev factions. I think they like us well enough already. You, Gunter Gladscheitze, or whatever, however that's pronounced. Anyway, you heard me. We are going to have you occupy so that Karl can move through it and reach the next place. Lovely. Monolith of Haka, you... not a lot of things there. Free Scroll of Leeching, Free Smuggler, Scribe, Mountains of Hell secured, but only for a couple turns, maybe just the 1 turn, as we will be transferring that shortly. Anyway, we do have the Slaneshi around here, so what we should make sure to do is that everybody here has a Light College Acolyte. Where are you? Okay, so we have 1, 2... okay, we'll need 2 more, and I think, okay, the rest of them are being used, and I don't know by whom. Who is this? Helmut Feuerbach. That's the guy that's currently fighting the Slaneshi? No. Where's Helmut Feuerbach? I have no idea. I wish I had a way to select you to know where you are. It's mostly because I don't want to take the Light College Acolytes away from the, I don't see this guy here. Huh, wait. A moment. It's not in here, is he? I see Lucas Feuerbach. That's probably the one I was thinking of. Well, darn. Alrighty, let's see what we have here. I'm just gonna... I bet there isn't a little search bar here that would help. Why is this so important? It's because we have an army currently fighting Slaanesh, and that army can't afford to lose the Light College Acolytes. You. Oh. Oh, right. Oh, I should have known you. You recruited the Fire Army for us. And also you're an Elector Count. But anyway, yeah, you don't need a Light College Acolyte, sir. And then any other lords have one other than Colt? Okay, yeah, Colt has one. Edwig Van Hel has one. Yeah, that's okay up north, I guess. Siegfried Schumacher. I don't know who you are either. You know what? I'm gonna steal this from, I guess, Edwig Van Hel. Let's do that. Alright. And we'll give it maybe back to him later. It's just that, yeah, we have these guys, which are Slaneshi, which we will need to deal with, and we certainly don't want Karl's troops being stolen. Anyway, you can now have a Light College Acolyte. And then, okay, I'm just not going to give one to Karl. Oh, actually, I will give one to Karl, because you already have one, Ulrich Meyer. Alrighty, Karl. Oh, will Karl even have room for one? I'm not removing anything that gives him movement range. Yes or no? Okay, let's hope that that's sufficient. Let's move you here.
I will fight with you.
And then, I guess the question will be, how far back this way do we want to go? Maybe the dwarfs will actually help out. Auto-resolve this for obvious reasons. Occupy. Alright, and I imagine... Mad's map! Oh, I remember you. Damn you, Mad's map. Oh, completely screwed me over in the beginning of Thorgrim's campaign. Anyway... So, you guys seem to be sitting here with 2 full stacks while there are undefended territories belonging to the Demon Prince right there. I guess we could tell them to move up here, but by the time they do, we'll probably have taken over them ourselves. Whatever, I'm just going to ignore them for now. And Dolph, back to you. You are going to move up here to Skulak Dreng. Governor Billings ignored. Gavin von Wolfen, you... Okay, you know what? I think it's time to attack. I gave these guys a chance to sally out. I gave them a chance to get another couple of armies here. Let's take the settlement. We got a few more points to apply, and then we'll fight directly. We do have to watch out for the enemy artillery, and ooh, I wonder if they have warp bombs as well. What do you have? You have Hard-Headed, which gives you that Amber Trance and all that. We could do Lord's Counselor just for the hero action. Oh, wait, no, that doesn't help. I guess another point in Curse of Anric here is a good use of that particular point, and then either calming or scouting. Frankly, we don't actually need scouting all that much because we have improved scrying techniques now, and it's applying to the entire faction, meaning this is probably less useful than maybe calming is. On the other hand, what's the likelihood that you actually miscast? Probably low, eh? You know what, I think he's not going to be miscasting. Let's guarantee the magic item chance, I guess. The reason I think he's not going to be miscasting is because he doesn't have that miscast trait, and without it, he's fine. Anyway, you can go Beacon of Courage and then max out Immaculate Flesh, I guess? Which would mean we have to skip Inviolable. Do we actually care about Immaculate Flesh? A little bit of extra fire resistance, why not? And then we'll get you Wild-Eyed. You're probably not doing too much, you know, attacky sort of fighting, but it's better than nothing. Alrighty, and then you two. You're both level 50 now? So we gotta max out your points. We got 5 points to play with. We don't really need heroes. It's not particularly useful, at least now that we have XP for all the units in this army maxed out anyway. Yeah, let's give you a big charge bonus. Why not? You're reasonably heavily armored enough, and I guess we'll put the other 2 points in the full plate armor. And then the same thing for you. We'll do Devastating Charge into full plate armor. It's probably more useful for you since you're on a Pegasus than you because you're on foot, but that's fine. Anyway, down and take this. We're going to do this the siegey way with the siege towers and the battering ram. Go. Alrighty, here we go. If Tretch won't come out to save Crookback Mountain, I guess we're just going to have to take it. Which I'm sure Gavin here will do with gusto, especially as his army has been around for a while and are certainly at this point veteran troops with plenty of experience against whatever foes they may encounter. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off by doing a little bit of a flyby and summoning a Feral Manticore to jump or drop down on top of the walls. I still don't like this particular spell because, look, by the time it got into combat, it had only 40 seconds of being summoned remaining. For a, I want to say 10 mana cost, it's not enough time. This thing's not going to do a lot of damage, even if it is going to annoy the enemy a little bit. And I know that, once again, this doesn't happen if you have full mana, but it's just not worth it. The spell is kind of terrible. It needs to be, the time on field needs to be doubled for the spell to be worth it, or the cost needs to be halved. Otherwise, it's just a huge waste of mana for little to no effect. Anyway, on the bright side, we've got other summons, also weak but also high damage dealing, and certainly they will help tear through those artillery crews. The Great Hawks, super fragile as they are, get about, what, 50, 60 kills, and quickly obliterate those artillery crews. Nice thing about the Fighty Wizard is that the Griffin plus the Hawks can obliterate artillery pieces like this rather quickly. Admittedly, if it was a non fighty wizard, and gold wizard, well, okay, really any wizard. We could have just cast a vortex on this and killed them all anyway, but I don't know. It's more fun to get up close and personal sometimes, which is, again, why I don't want to over-spam the amber wizards, because they are my favorite just by virtue of the mount option. And the fact that, you know, sometimes I don't like to cast too many vortex spells and damaging spells in general. Actually, Flock of Doom is kind of an exception to that, but super high damaging spells, as I like to let the troops do a lot of the work. And the Amber Wizards scratch that itch because they can do a lot of fighting. And the Flock of Doom doesn't tend to get a ton of kills, it just dishes out HP damage, which I also appreciate, allowing the troops to do the heavy lifting. Anyway, the gate has been broken through and our towers have arrived, about to disgorge their cargo up on top of the walls. It looks like the enemy will have gotten little to no mileage out of the weapons teams that were up there, and Gavin has broken through the gate and has headed directly towards the monstrous Hell Pit Abomination for a little one-on-one. No Slaneshi giggle. Please. Not here. But anyway, that's going to take a while. Hell Pit Abominations have regen and a ton of HP, but that's alright. We got things to do while the two have their duel. The unit of spears, the only unit of spears in this particular army, the Sigmar's Toothpicks, have led through the gate, and that's one of the reasons why we kept them, other than the fact that they got a name early, but kept them in this army. Because they have shields and I like to use them to push the battering rams, whereas the halberdiers would obviously be more vulnerable to missile fire. Alright, well, they've got a heck of a lot of fighting to do here. We're going to get our second Kettle Skull summoning up and running together with the Griffin up on top of the walls, where a unit of Sensor Bearers have closed the distance with some of the halberdiers as soon as they got out of that tower. And take a little bit of work to get through them. The armor piercing from the halberds is a little bit wasted, but we have plenty of damage coming in from the Griffin and the halberds together. And though they're great units, the Sensor Bearers are fragile enough so that we should be able to take care of them rather quickly. Alrighty, that's just the first of them, however, as there are plenty more rats where that came from. Isn't that always the case when fighting the rats? Anyway, looks like Gavin has taken the Hell Pit Abomination down to about 30% of its HP, and foolishly it has actually moved a little bit closer to the gate. Why foolishly? Because it's gotten in range of the Huntsmen, which start firing over the walls, and their anti-large arrows bring the big boy down, toppling, and its carcass crushing many a rat beneath its bulk. Of course, there are many more rats that have appeared from its bulk than it was crushed, as it disgorges a pile of Skaven slaves from its belly or whatever. But that's alright. Especially as we have made our way through the breach in the gate, and now that the halberds are no longer fighting up on the walls, we are getting set up on top of the walls ourselves. Those Gunderman's Surefires are going to surely do a lot of work here. Anybody crossing that bridge will be under the withering fire and stagger shot of these high damage dealing rifles. I believe their Gundermans are the best, I'm pretty sure they're the best range unit that we have, right? A massive missile strength, stagger shot, huge range after they dig in and entrench as well, up to 380, which is pretty darn crazy. They basically have a not short range artillery, but they're like artillery range, just slightly shorter than mortars, I think. So that's pretty good. And you gotta thank Entrench for that. It's funny because I remember when in vanilla the Gunderman Surefires being kind of useless compared to Null Ironsides. Or at the very least when I played Elspeth, I was wondering what is the purpose of this unit now that the Ironsides exist. But that's the benefit of SFO and making more and more units effective and viable. Anyway, these guys are going to make sure that nobody is able to cross the bridge and reinforce the enemy, including a Doom Wheel, which was at full HP but got sniped all the way from the wall there. And the support fire will continue while we continue making or freeing up the territory or area around the gate, though it looks like most of the rats there, at least, have been cleared. Our Griffin riding Amber Wizard and the Empire Captain that's on the Pegasus have joined the fray here as 2 units of, I want to say, Storm Vermin? Are they both Storm Vermin, or is one Plague Monks? Yeah, double Storm Vermin. Yeah, 2 units of Storm Vermin are attempting to hold the ladder here, or stairs rather, against our Halberdiers, but with the Griffin and the Empire Captain in the lead, they're going to have a lot more trouble, especially since the Griffin will be sending many a rat flying, and with every hit, its mass allowing to insta-kill any units that drop off from the ladder, which is fantastic for our purposes. Not much to say about this tactically, just watching them do their fighting. How's the Amber Wizard, by the way? 245 kills, 52,000 damage, eh? Not too bad at all. And I'm sure that the Halberdiers are heartened by the Empire Captain on his Pegasus being in the lead, plus it's gotta be pretty difficult to take a staircase like this with all of those halberds. Alrighty, another Flock of Doom. The bounce power's at about 90% in our favor. We haven't even bothered making our way across the bridges. There's no need, or at least there hasn't been any need until now. Probably should let the Drakvald Riders play a little bit, so we'll keep the rest of the halberds here and maybe head the cav across the bridge, since it's mostly been the guns and the halberds and the Amber Wizard and the heroes, I guess, that have been fighting this time. And since this is the Drakvalder army, it's only fair that the Cav get to play, the Drakvald Riders get to play a little bit. Alrighty, it looks like those 2 units of Storm Vermin are in pretty bad shape now. Both have in fact shattered, and only the unit of Plague Monks remains. In fact, by virtue of that, I'm willing to bet that the enemy army is pretty much done for. We can see all of the remaining units' morale is pretty much gone, and we just have to clear out the remaining units of Plague Monks, any unbreakable units basically that are still on the map. And that's where we head our Drakvald Riders, while the halberds led by the Amber Wizard clear the one. There is 1 more left on the field, and we're going to allow these guys to do the work. Gavin has led the charge and closed the distance with the enemy, unsurprising, as thanks to those Phoenix Pinions, we have a high movement speed on him. Here comes the charge. Of course, the benefit of the Drakvald Riders as a unit is that lovely... Ooh, I love the glow, but anyway, is that Strider ability that they have, which they can't really take advantage of in these minor settlements. Which is a bit of a shame, but they're more than enough, I'd wager, to take care of a single unit of Plague Monks, even stuck in melee. What are we at here? 135 armor, pretty darn solid, and 44 melee defense, not counting that Doom and Nagash. Although the Doom and Nagash is, funnily enough, probably going to help us at least a little bit against the Plague Monks, as it will have reduced their physical resistance from... So was it 0 when these guys had banishment on them? Or is it 0 now? Oh no, actually it won't help because Plague Monks are immune to contact effects. Oh well. But at least we're getting the magical damage out of it. Well, the magical damage will still bypass the physical, so that, yeah, it does help. Never mind. I contradict myself like 3 times. It's good, it's helpful. Everything's helpful. Anyway, last of the rats making their last stand. A couple more hits and the battle will well and truly be ours. Come on. There you go. Oh my lord. Oh, that guy disappeared. And I believe the last one will drop, and there we go. A lovely little fight, apparently a close victory. Not sure I would call it as such, but sure, AI, why not? All right, there we go. No problem at all. I feel like the AI would have had a better chance if it did not, well, if it decided to sally out instead of being a coward. But anyway, that's the AI for you. We got lots of damage on the Amber Wizard, especially considering he was fighting a lot in this particular battle, and that Griffin is such a boon to the army. We got 13,000 damage on Sigmar's Toothpicks and 8,000 on Franz's Forks. A little bit beaten out in terms of kills and damage by the Halbards. Drakvald Watchers unfortunately didn't get to participate, and I guess, well, Sparrow didn't get to participate either, or at least not that much in this particular battle, because these two central units of Drakvald Riders went into the enemy center. Oh, and probably replaced that Standard of Discipline with something a little bit more useful in this army, maybe even a Banner of Eternal Flame to buff up these guys. I will attempt to remember it. For now, we will occupy Crookback Mountain. Alright, there goes Tretch's capital. I really thought that he'd be back by now, as in his main stack would show up again in order to try to defend his capital, but apparently not the case. Alright, well, who's next then? Jürgen Wagner, still giving chase to Village, who just keeps on running rather than fighting us. Hardly surprising, but it is annoying to have to, you know, occupy and then reoccupy territories that we've given to the Urson Revivalists. On the bright side, though, I mean, we are advancing everywhere else, so it doesn't matter over much, and Village will start losing territory before long as the other armies start going to his territories. Ooh, Talisman of Endurance. We have a dearth of those, so we certainly do need another few, many. Anyway, Waldemar Biber, you're gonna hit the Beast Peaks here. Alrighty, just to double check, you're the one with a lot of names in your army, right? Hell's Fury, A10 Groundhogs, Zizka's Revenge, Earthshakers, Bells of the Empire, and more Tarnishers. I don't trust it auto-resolve. We do have mortar, they're war wagons, but they're mortar war wagons, I don't know. I'm not trusting it auto-resolve. Oh, we should also give the war banner to somebody with probably tanks. Possibly several war wagons. Could give an engineer with, well, it's weapon strength and, actually, I wonder if those would be better on not tanks, but on maybe pistoliers? Because we do send them into melee. Well, the Noble Sons abroad at the very least. I will think about it. And what is this? Why are you, oh. I think this faction's dead and it knows it, so it isn't even bothering trying to run. Well, might as well finish it off. So unless you get on, of course you can go all the way around the mountain, so we can't reach Zarexil afterwards, but it is what it is. Attack! Gotta knock him out anyway. And the Eldrick von Blitten, I spent, I don't know, like 3/4 of the campaign promising to get you a, can you reach this? No dice. Promising to get to you an Empire Captain or two, and still haven't done it. But you know what? He keeps winning battles regardless of that, so I'm still happy with him. Anyway, that was the Eldrick von Blitten. Elspeth von Draken is next to you. Oh, should have auto-resolved this immediately after winning. And it's gonna kill our war wagons, isn't it? Isn't it? Aren't you, game? Damn you. Preemptively auto-resolve? Hey, it didn't. Alright. Maybe preemptively damning it. It will work out in our favor. Alright, Power Stone, Valet, Smuggler, getting lots of those smugglers. What's our trade income right now? 187 versus 178 trade versus building income. We're so close to matching our faction income with our trade income. I guess we could pump it up with a couple more allies if we really wanted to. I guess the Southern Realmers will do for that particular purpose. Anyway, Emil von Corden, you are done here, yes? Unless I'm mistaken, you are. Or at the very least, you're done with these guys. We could, well, you know what, for now, move to Kazad Frickened. It's the only place that you can go, and then we'll see what the next snappers do. They are at war with Miragliano, and they are fighting them, although it seems like they might be wandering back. And oh wow, they're really loving their Pistoliers and Grenadiers and just all Outriders and Pistoliers, generally speaking. They're a range cav. Which, admittedly, I do too, and I would spam it if it didn't feel too obnoxious against the AI. You, Gustav Schneider, are mostly here as an auto-resolver, so just go this way. Balthazar Gilt? That's a question. You're still completely surrounded by enemies thanks to Teclis. Well, you should probably grab Crooked Fang Fort either way. I vaguely remember there being... just go take the main settlement. Yeah, there are a couple of stacks here. We can auto-resolve this, and I'm gonna hope that... No. I was gonna say that we suffer sufficient damage that the enemies will attempt to go after us here, but it looks like they're not going to attempt it. Which, you know, fair enough. Alright, you can just sit there for now. Who's up next? We've got Arch Recruiter, you're fine. Baldric Stroam, you were supposed to reach this place. Oh, Argalis is already under siege. Well, you're going this way anyway. I was about to say trespassing, but it's in Pirates of Sartosa territory, so that's just fine. Stefan von Kessel, you're going to grab Monolith of Airlock, which means the tech lead cannot grab it next turn, but it is what it is. And start attacking Rakarth from this direction as well. Close victory, medium casualties, quick save it just in case. We're obviously not fighting it. It'll hurt this army because the auto-resolve hates this army. And if the enemy shows up with a full stack, they're just going to have to do their best to survive. Occupy. Scroll of Power, Coachman, Smuggler, Student. Hey, double student. Very nice. Alright, that was Von Kessel. Where be you? Boris Todbringer, you... Ooh, hello. Looks like Rakarth has decided to sail out of Chenhild's monoliths. Well, isn't that lovely? Boris, attack. Well, let's see if Rakarth attempts to actually face you in the field. He does have his monsters, significantly buffed, I'm sure. And hey, he will indeed fight. Close victory, but casualties low. Always interesting to see, but he didn't run like a coward, and therefore we will give him the chance to fight. Plus, Rakarth has all those anti-large unit debuffs, so will Boris actually be able to face off against him in combat in the air, one-on-one? Let's find out. Alrighty, here we go. Boris versus Rakarth. That should be a pretty interesting matchup. Rakarth has all that anti-large, but we actually have plenty of anti-large ourselves due to the Colossal Strike abilities, so we'll see what that does for us. Enemy's going to use that Whip of Agony on us, dropping Boris Todbringer's melee defense considerably lower than it should be. However, the melee defense on him is still pretty good. And his melee attack is very high as well. Looks like Rakarth is most definitely losing and is calling for aid. A Feral Manticore has arrived, and of course Boris has been taking hits from all of the enemy range units, focusing on him with their handbows. However, it's still not enough, and we also got to remember that Boris has regeneration, thanks to the Middenland Runefang, and should he need it, also a healing potion as well. Anyway, while that duel is happening, or while Boris is absolutely beating Rakarth, our main line is starting to head towards the enemy, whereas over on the flanks, a unit of bears has been found by the Knights of the White Wolf and the Things in the Woods, and will be torn to shreds. Considering the rivalry between Ulrich and Ursun, the wolf and the bear, kind of feels appropriate for our for our Things in the Woods, our Children of Ulrich and the Knights of the White Wolf, to tear through those bears. Our main line smashes into the enemy line, and it looks like Rakarth is actually running now. He's not dead. He and Brachus are down to about half of their HP, but they're trying to escape Boris. I don't think it's going to happen, however, as the Black Dragon is much slower than the extremely sped up Griffin / Lord. Anyway, Furies have touched, or Harpies rather, have touched down to try to help the enemy Stegodon. I believe there's 3 or 4 big ol' monsters among the main enemy line. There's also a master riding around on a chariot, but I'd wager it's not going to be enough. There's the second Steg, there's the War Hydra. Oh, the War Hydra is in fairly bad shape and about to be in worse shape as it gets hit with the Curse of Anric here, while we buff our units up with the Vissen's Wild Form to increase their armor and base weapon damage. Alright. Over on the right flank, it looks like the enemy had some fast movers around. I believe a Saber Tusk Pack and, I want to say, Feral Cold Ones, and they both got obliterated by our fast movers, but that's hardly surprising as neither of those units were ever going to do particularly well against Knights of the White Wolf. Kettle's Skull has been activated to obliterate a enemy artillery piece, while our Wolfkin, together with the Teutogan Guard, are tearing through the enemy Black Ark Corsairs. Alright, I always forget about the Swords of Ulrich here. A bit of a shame that we can't build them and the Sigmarite disciples both. But oh well, what can you do? I don't think it's a big deal, essentially. I feel like maybe they should open it up so that you should have the ability to build both, as long as you have both of the high tier temples. As long as their capacities are still limited, I don't see why you wouldn't, especially because then it divides your attention between building Ulrichite and Sigmarite capstone temples. Just my opinion. And especially because the units of Swords of Ulrich are a nice sort of replacement for the basic Empire swordsmen, though admittedly we've been using those just fine. Anyway, Rakarth has been defeated. I believe he, after being finally caught and then cast down by Boris, has been obliterated, and then most of his army will be chased down and destroyed as well. Lovely. Alright, very, very nice. Props to Rakarth for not running away like a coward, but, well, at least before the battle started, but then attempted to run from Boris mid-fight, so, kind of iffy on his willingness to fight there. Still, we did do pretty darn well. 13,000 damage in one of the units of Wolfkin. The Teutogen Guard did reasonably well, but obviously support units, and of course the hammer of the Knights of the White Wolf and the Children of Ulrich obliterated those enemies that were on their flanks, and then moved in to hunt down monsters and the like. Lovely. We will heal up since we're in the water, and we won't heal any further here. Though, funnily enough, we could probably land... Well, actually, we can't. Wait, even in March stance? Yeah, even in March stance. Alright, move as far as you can. We'll grab... Actually, that's a question. Do we want to go after Troll Fjord first, or do we want to go for Chenhild's Monoliths? I guess if we go for Troll Fjord, we could then go... Ugh. Actually, I don't like either of those options. But it is what it is. Alright, I guess we're going after Troll Fjord first, and I'm gonna hope it's not a broken territory. Anyway, bonus versus large for Mr. Boris, which is pretty good because he has that Colossal Strike as well. So that offers him another 75 bonus versus large, which clearly helped bring down Rakarth and Brachus, and that'll just stack further with it. Can't complain. Enemy killed in battle, another Rune Fang. Very, very nice. I'm more happy about those than the purple Rune Fangs, which is kind of, again, bizarre, and I know I've mentioned it repeatedly, but it remains bizarre, and so I will keep mentioning it until the end of the campaign. Humphrey Bruckert, you were looking to try to prevent the lizardmen from dying here, though this is all Skaven, this is all Skaven. And lizardmen are at war with Nakari as well, and they have no armies, but, well, what can you do? You cannot reach Gualata. Alrighty, well, we're still going to have to protect the place, so let's move in channeling stance right here. Near Valley of Windmills, hit Gualata. Oh, it gets by himself. I guess he lost almost all of his army. Fun stuff for him. I mean, not really for him, but you know what I mean. Anyway, Land Admiral Tsintla, you... Well, that's a question. Do we send you after the rats, or do we send you after the... I guess we... I don't know. They're both options. I mean, you have to get out of the mountains either way. That hasn't really changed. Alright, so start moving down this way, I guess. And then we'll see. Either we send you against the Pirates of Sartosa or against the rats. You have already fought rats, but the Pirates of Sartosa are significantly weaker. So I'm not sure that you're really needed down there, but anyway, we'll see. You've got a fair few turns of moving. Theodric Gosser, I was once again going to have you join Von Kessel's army, but now that these guys have been in here for so long, I feel like we should probably just leave them in there. Each one leads a unit of Sigmarite disciples. I really don't think this single Sigmarite disciple will make enough of a difference in terms of their presence for the auto-resolve. At least I doubt it. Anyway, Sigmarite disciples, I guess you're out, and then Gosser, we can use you... maybe as a follower lord. Or maybe reset you and send you somewhere. Is there anything here? There is. Okay, damn, I was hoping that you could just occupy it, but alas, that is not the case. If you go this way, wait. Out of curiosity, how many turns would it take you?
What is this foolish?
Go here. You know what, I shouldn't have deleted that unit. I just realized we could do some recruiting. You know what? The Flagellants are quick recruit. Yeah, I should have kept the Sigmarite Disciples, my bad. Oh well. I just want to get a pile of units that we can use to essentially auto-resolve. And how much do these guys cost? 15,000, damn. It's more expensive than I thought. Did you... Yeah, whatever. We'll use you for this purpose and we'll build something else. How many turns do Sigmarite Disciples take to build? If I can find them in here. 3 turns? If it was 1. Oh, actually, wait. We could use conscription next turn if we wanted to get a bunch of them in here. Again, it doesn't really matter, it's just for auto-resolve purposes. I just want to make sure that you can go this way. Frankly, I'm not sure how we want to give these territories to the Wood Elves because they hate us now because we're friends with Boris Ursus, so, well, whatever. If you don't like the Winter Kislevite factions, maybe you shouldn't be in Norska. I mean, what the heck? I mean, that's not why, it's just... Anyway, Bruno, who are you again? Oh, right. Go and auto-resolve this. I could fight it, but... These guys have fought 2 ogre armies of a similar caliber and won, so I don't think that the 1 is going to be any kind of challenge worthy of our time, so whatever. Plus, it's an auto-resolve army, and it's not particularly interesting in terms of the fight that it will give us anyway. Who was that? That was Bruno. Kurt Helborg. Still damaged. Aren't we all? You are supposed to hunt down Scarbrand, who I had hoped would come back at this point, but has not yet come back. I want to also see where Oath of the Black Axes will go. You know what? Sit right here. We can try to hit Kazad board Karag next turn or so. We'll see if Scarby comes back. He died a relatively decent time ago, so... He'd certainly make a... yeah, it'd certainly make this fight considerably more difficult, especially while we don't have heroes, especially since Kurt is not on a Griffin and he's going to be significantly weaker than a Empire General. Unless we build him up significantly, but then even still, no Griffin and all that. Anyway, Builder von Wolfen, you're fine as you are. Recruiter Olden, you're actually... Well, you serve a purpose. Wait, did I skip Marcus Wolfhart? That's where I saw him. Okay, well, whatever. Whatever, here we go. We'll move him now. You, Marcus, are going to besiege Conquata. Then what we'll do is we'll send Recruiter Olden to attack this little army here. I don't think it'll reach him, but whatever. And then Ernst Putkama can't move, but he's also waiting. You are going to besiege this. I'm 99% sure the enemy will sally out because the AI thinks that Marcus's army is weak, and admittedly, considering the amount of basic troops we use, there is reasoning for that. You're going to back off, but probably not far enough away. And we'll auto-resolve you with the recruiter. Yeah, might as well level a recruiter on occasion. Alrighty, and then we'll take the... I don't know, it doesn't really matter either. Alright, like so. Hey, he's got a Steam tag now. Heck of a recruiter. You can get Endless Tinkerer, though. And then Lucky Arrow. And do you have Headhunter? You do now. Alright, that maxes out your recruiting capabilities effectively. And I should probably not keep you on a steam tank, but you know what? While we're auto-resolving here, there may be a purpose for it. You will then move this way, Ernst Putkama. Granted, there's some recruitment to do, but that's fine. Alrighty, now I have to figure out where we were. Was that Recruiter Olden that had moved, or was that somebody else? Wait. Okay, that was Recruiter Beckberg, Boris, Recruiter... Valmir von Rock. Okay, I just selected you guys. There we go. Ralph Brandt. You are going to move with Aldebrand Ludenhoff. Aldebrand, okay, so your troops are here with Johann Tuppenheimer. I'm gonna say just take a bunch of random stuff from Ralph Brandt for now. And then we'll essentially transfer other troops. We're kind of working with what we've got here in terms of the... state troops we have, so yeah, I'll take these guys. There we go. Now you have a solid melee line and a solid range line, and you can certainly fight. I would also like you to start channeling, so start moving towards Serpent's Fang. At least this way Gelty won't have to do it. And then you, Ralph, I was about to say, do you have enough troops to go down here? Not really, but I don't think we... Yeah, let's just put these knights in here then. We don't have a place for them in other armies. Get a couple of Wardens of the West as well. And then you can sit here in One-Eyed Fort, and if there's auto-resolving to be done, you can do some auto-resolving. And then we'll trade some of these troops back once the troops are transferred. It's all coming together, I'm sure. Anyway, that was Ralph Brandt. So, wait, actually Volkmar is next. Alright? Yeah. Nearly halfway down the list. Volkmar, you are traveling. You are going to go through where you hopefully won't suffer attrition, so go this way. And then you've got to date with either the Black Pyramid or Arcan the Black. We'll see about that. Cold Coldorf, you are... okay, wait. You... Great Orthodoxy. I would like you to declare war. Join war against... What's this faction called? Slaaneshi something. Coveted Passion? Is it Coveted Passion? I think it's Coveted Passion. Yes. Join war. 22. Can we give you... I wanted to... have the two armies fight together. Alas, I don't think there's anything we can get from them. Yeah, there's no territories we can transfer, unfortunately. Alright, well, that idea changed, and yeah, of course you don't want to fight these guys that have taken over Prague and help out against them. Useless AI. Anyway, I guess you're fighting by yourself, sir. Well, let's level you up before we do that. Ooh, you know what? Before I forget, let's actually level up Wolfhart, because if the enemy is going to fight him, and... Ooh, is that Bellicor? No. Let's level him up. No, it's only 1 point, but nonetheless, we should use the same set point. Let's get Strength of Hardship, I think. Ooh, or another point in Emperor's Finest. Now let's get Strength of Hardship. I like so. More points for at least the 2 units of the Grey Mountain Band that are here. A little bit more armor for them, a little bit more tankiness and all that. Alright, what about you? You got 1 point as well. You have Deadly Onslaught, max you out with Woundmaker, hit harder. You can have... we could do Sigmar's Will for the flaming attack, so I'm not sure I care that much about it. Alrighty, you. You were moving towards one of these things, I take it? Let's get you some weapons. Actually, you know what? Let's get movement range. You're going to have to travel. Well, that won't help in battle, but nonetheless. And then you can get sabotage. Lovely. All right, good enough. Then we're going to fight the Slaaneshi again. Had the debut battle last episode of the Taken Shot guys here. War Hero, Heroic Killing Blow. You don't need Taste for Battle because you're not using cavalry. I'd still potentially like to replace one of these guys with a war drum because I think it'll be helpful, and you also would probably use a mage, but we don't have or are unlikely to get one anytime soon. Sigmar's Ward, even though it's not super useful against the Slaaneshi, and hard to hit, which is, you know, universally useful. Alright, what about you guys? You, Engineer. You have We Are the Elite. Sigmar's Ward and Mark of it. Well, no, you know what? Let's start moving towards extra powder. So piercing shots and... I don't know, bandolier, fleet-footed... something. Doesn't matter. Alright, you guys. What are we missing? We have We Are the Elite and Esteemed Combatant, and Remember Your Training, which are the important ones, because when we're on the defensive, it's hard to hit both of you, I guess. Oh, you actually should have Esteemed Combatant as well. And you don't really need a Retinue Trainer. It's a waste of a point at this point. So let's get your Blade Master and then start moving through hard to hit. Lovely. Alright, now, let's draw out those Slaaneshi. Let's see if we can get their main stacks moving in. Does it matter which one we attack? Probably not. We could attack these two, and the reason that I'm not is even though they're auto-resolvable, I don't want to deal with that right now. Oh! You're actually gonna run? Huh, you little coward. Pathetic. I assumed that they would attack us. Alright, so here's what we'll do then. We will besiege Prague, and we'll leave you here, and they should probably sally out and attack us next turn. Because they've got all of this, and then they'll have more units coming in. The only issue here then is that these guys will most likely appear behind our army, which will make it a little bit more difficult. If only we could get the Great Orthodoxy to take advantage of the fact that they're all severely damaged and thus help out with this, but of course, the Orthodoxy will refuse at all costs to join the war. But that's the AI for you. Anyway, that was called Holdorf. Let's have a troop train here. Besiege the great title of Mork. You are going to move to reinforce and then move to Bone Nose's hold immediately after. You're... Oh, right. The Lord here is going to be replaced next turn. Whoa, 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 whoa. What do we have here? Is that Kugath? No, it's some guy. It's Cormac. It's got some good stuff. Alrighty, anyway, you can hit this. Auto-resolve. I assume nobody will die.
Close in and kill.
A little bit of damage, and the Drakvald Riders got hurt the most. Well, actually on a level with these guys. And these guys. Free Talisman of Preservation, though. That's nice. Occupy. Alright, we're not looking to hold the place, so we're not going to bother with a troop train. You are not keeping that talisman until you're replaced. Philip Ivan. I'm gonna say keep you in a camp stance. Actually, what's the likelihood that this guy comes down here next turn? And then what if Kugath is here as well? You know what? You guys stay together. At least for now. I don't trust it. Never trust the game.
So?
Alrighty, so that was... Yeah, I don't remember if that was Troop Train or Philip Ivan. I guess it doesn't matter over much, but we do have to find them again. And... not the Crusader. The other Troop Train. Oh, yes, okay, you do have to move. Go... fine, go this way. Go the non-attrition way, I guess. Philip Ivan, you have just moved other troop train. Other troop train, you're waiting for recruitment. Helmet Feuerbach, you're fine. Marius Leitdorf, you are going to set up an encamp stance. And then head to wipe out the Steel Fangs. Right here.
What does the Emperor
Or Steel Fangs hold, I guess. Not the Steel Fangs themselves, who you'll have to... Oh, this is Ironback, not Steel Fang. Whatever. It's all the same to us, I suppose. Siegfried, you and your fire army are continuing to move this way. It's going to be a fair bit of traveling. I'm just going to have you hunt down Valkia, which... well, you'll get there, eventually. Someday. Ben Essing, you're stuck where you are. Alright, you're fine. Albrecht Hot Anderson, you are an auto-resolver, but you're still needed this way because Dolph can't do everything. Emil Hammerheim, are you waiting for reinforcements? Oh, you're waiting for recruitment. Alright, you're fine, but you're nearly done. And then you'll be able to move. Dietzhus, you are also, I mean, technically an auto-resolve army. Although it's an army and... oh, wait, actually, you're not an auto-resolve army. You're an army, a real army. And that means you can move this way. Ugh, Cornate Corruption. An army full of so many range units all going into Rampage. That feral rage, though. Alrighty, Arnst Thuringman. You... So, assuming that the Knights Panther will move out this way... oh, you know what you need to do? You know, go this way. You can... maybe go this way as well. I'll think about which Knights to send where. And then how we want to modify these armies. What I do also want to make sure that we get you is another questing knight. At least one more. Okay, we can't afford it here. Okay, we definitely can't afford it here. Can we afford it here? E50 now. No dice. And that's the last of the... okay, useless Bretonians. Alright. Alrighty, and there we go. I believe that's it for this particular turn. So, we're free to end the turn and get attacked somewhere. I don't remember where, but we'll find out after we skip, and turn. Alright, it looks like the Slaneshi will indeed oh! They got screwed. Alrighty, I'm gonna auto-resolve this. I'll quick save it in case... oh, these aren't war wagons, these are regular artillery, but anyway. I think we'll be fine. The main reason being that these Slaneshi, the ones that had more HP, unfortunately couldn't reinforce. The problem being that there's like a billion stacks here in one spot, and you can only have 4. Enemy should have just combined those, but I think... I'm actually not sure that the AI can, you know, merge its armies together. Oh, a lot of these are probably cultist armies, and cultist armies probably can't merge either anyway. Yeah, a little bit of damage. Oh, wow, why'd the engineer get wrecked? Oh, well, his problem. Occupy, I guess? I want to see if these guys attack us immediately again. Oh, hopefully they don't besiege us. I guess we're about to find out. They will indeed attack. Marcus Valiant defeat casualties high. We got a lot of Marauder champions and Chaos Warriors coming in from the reinforcements, and funnily enough, it's probably the Norscan Warhounds that are the bigger threat, at least in the short term, combined with those piles of Marauder horses, as the Chaos Warriors are at least are very, very slow, and if we should want to dodge them, we can always back up. Nonetheless, Marcus has gotten stronger since his first couple of fights, so let's see how he does. Go. Alright, well, we are ready. Let's see if the enemy is, and let's see if the auto-resolve is correct about this one. The balance of power, or it said a valiant defeat, unless I'm mistaken, and admittedly, it is a lot of Norskins and Chaos Warriors, which Wolfhart did struggle in the first sort of battles for him, but like I said, he is a lot stronger than he once was. Enemy smartly uses its Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes to attempt to charge the Wissenberg Welcomers and war wagons, but fortunately we activate the Curse of Anathrema, and so I'll stop them right in their tracks. The rest of the enemy army is moving towards us, and we lay down a withering amount of range fire from our huntsmen, which are up to 137 or 152 in the center missile strength, which is quite a lot. It is, of course, the combination of the ballistics calibration and Marcus and the other auras from the huntsmen being nearby, but that's a very hard-hitting pile of huntsmen, you gotta admit. Still, for all their damage, it's nowhere near enough to make a massive dent in the enemy army as yet, and we are going to back off behind our battle lines of Bretonnian men-at-arms and the Wildwood Rangers as well. Our Black Lions war wagons have been laying down their supporting fire this entire time as the enemy army moves towards us, and the grenades keep dropping among the enemy, specifically trying to make sure that our Wissenberg's Welcomers target the enemy units of range, like the Javelineers, the Marauder Huntsmen. I don't think they had any Whalers in this particular army, but yeah, all those guys got to be the critical targets. Mostly because every single unit in this army is extremely vulnerable to range fire. But especially with the anti-large range fire, the relatively fragile war wagons. For all that I tend to use war wagons a lot, they are very fragile units, and you do have to be careful with them. Anyway, enemy continues to move towards us, though it looks like over in the center they had a pretty bad time of it. The left and right flanks have managed to clash with our lines. We did keep our one of our two units rather, of Wildwood Rangers hidden over on our right flank. Unsurprisingly in the woods, and they are facing off against Marauder Berserkers, dogs, Marauder Horses, and I believe there's a unit of Trolls as well here. Oh, and a unit of Marauder Hunters. Yeah, 5 units versus those units of Wildwood Rangers is probably going to be pretty dangerous for them, so we're going to send a unit of Grey Mountain Band to help. And the other Wildwood Rangers is still holding the flank over on the left side, and their armor-piercing damage will come in very handy against the Chaos Warriors, which attempt to charge right through them or past them and into the Hunters behind them, but it looks like we did manage to see them off. Gonna pop a flash bomb on them just in case as well to significantly lower their melee defense and slow them down further. And between the Huntsmen and the Wildwood Rangers' glaives, we should be able to tear them to shreds. The bounce power has shifted to about 70% in our favor at this point. Arrows from our Huntsmen continue to drop down on the enemy, and it looks like we have, by the looks of it, managed to hold the line. The enemy was not able to overrun most of our units. Looks like one unit of doggos did get through. Hey, grenades, please don't do that. Ugh. Why are grenade units so stupid? Like, sometimes, you know, your units like will refuse to fire when an enemy unit is just like close to one of your units, but when it's like right on top of one of your own units, oh yeah, fire all the grenades and all the artillery possible to wipe your own guys out. Funny, but fortunately it wasn't as much damage as it could have been, especially considering we have 55% missile resistance on the Huntsman, and that helps against those grenades. Anyway, with that, the enemy army breaks. It was a rather quick fight, a blitz attack from the Norskins, and frankly, a blitz amount of damage from our own. Almost ambush style, though a little bit slower than that. But anyway, a lovely little fight for Marcus, and he's certainly come into his own with his army, proving his worth with a heroic victory, where the auto-resolve said valiant defeat. Alright, there we go. Much better, Wolfhart, much better. Of course, the enemy didn't have Bellicor and Hellebron to rely upon this time around, but still did pretty darn well. Lots of damage on the various huntsmen, and probably, well, pretty much all of the range units. Damn, this Wissenberg's Welcomer is nearly 80,000. Pretty solid. Vastly out-damaging Black Lion's war wagons, unfortunately, but these guys had solid gold value as they were sniping more critical targets. Decent damage out of the gyrocopters, and great work from the Wildwood Rangers on the right flank, which protected the flank against, I'm gonna say, 4 or 5 enemy units by themselves for a while, hence the severe damage to them, but also hence them getting the most kills out of any infantry, missile, or melee, and only being beaten, in fact, by the 2 grenade units, which should be of no surprise, especially against Norskins. Anyway, we will praise Sigmar here. A new regional power, Karakadrin, still relatively useless for all that we have been giving them all that territory, mostly because they have not really been doing a good job of rebuilding their armies. I think they have, what, 2 stacks running around now? Let's see, yeah, this weird stack where the AI's, I don't know, brain is broken and decides to build or spam Goblin Heroes. Not that it's not a decent... It functions, it works. I just don't think that the AI or the auto-resolve would let this be effective. A much better army in terms of Ungrim, in terms of just a sheer army balance and all of that. Anyway, enemy killed in battle, spell shield, feather foe, Torque settlement, lost seat core. Oh, they decided to actually take it. Oh, are we in range of it now? No, we're not in range of it. But we will be soon, even though these guys have 2 stacks and are very much being rebuilt. We shall destroy them without too much trouble, I'd wager, and Seedcore is not one of our settlements, really. It's the Karakadrin settlements, so. Anyway, ally mission successful, ready for duty, ready for duty, ready for duty, ready for duty, and technology researched. Ooh, intelligence sharing is up, meaning... not another plague. Oh, not another plague. It's spreading even further to different territories now. Every single territory here is now having to switch to Sigmarite Dogma. Ah, these plagues. Well, what can you do? Oh well. And Scribe, but as I was saying, we now have Manorialism. But we can't build it in one turn, so we're better off taking a thing that we can build in one turn and switching to Manorialism next turn afterwards. So, the next tech that we will pick is... I'm going to say... I don't dislike the ballistic plating for steam tanks, but it's also not anything crazy. We don't really need more powerful artillery, to be fair. More speed for Cav, immunity to psychology for Cav. I do like the melee attack and defense for Cav. You know what, let's start moving through the Cav tree because we're fighting with a lot of knights now. Anyway, folks, with that, we're pretty much out of time, so I'm going to call the episode here. And next time, we look to wipe out the Alamian Sisterhood and work on the Red Eye, as well as moving towards Valkia's territories, as well as helps Kislev,
You may touch me only.
We should really get this guy to kill these guys for us, but anyway, just by transferring them territory. Yeah, look to recover Kislev's territories best as we can down here before they suffer too many losses. Hopefully the Orthodoxy can deal with at least some of this stuff, especially since they're not really at war with most of these factions, and just some of them, as well as whatever we're doing up north. Rakarth and Village, and while the hunt for Village continues, and it looks like he's going to take another territory. Or is he? Nope, he's dead. He's in March stance. It is a full stack. Huh. You know what? I can't stop this move now. Is this worth fighting? It's a rather basic. It is a close victory. On the other hand, we haven't seen this army fight in a while. I really want to fight this, so we're out of time. Go. Alright, I was going to end the episode, but this I will make an exception for. We have been on the hunt for Village for far too long. And we just got to bring him down. So, we're going to move Ulrika, Gottrick, and Felix all through the enemy line. Going to try to break through them to reach Village himself and see whether they can bring him down. Village is one of the tankiest lords in the entire game. I know he doesn't look it because of his stats, but his stats are a lie. He has an insanely big barrier at 4.5k, and I think it can actually rise further than that. And on top of that, his recharge delay says 29 seconds, but he has some kind of ability. I don't remember what it is or how exactly it works, but it effectively constantly recharges his barrier, maybe with casting or maybe with something else, and it makes him just so difficult to do any amount of damage whatsoever. Anyway, unlike the last fight, we're going to do a little bit of a different formation for our main army this time around. Essentially two separate blobs of Free Company militia. Leaving holes in the line like this because I like the idea, since that all of the Free Company, all of the Pistolier units can fire in all four directions. Well, 360-degree firing arc, essentially. Wherever the enemy is, basically all of these units will be able to support each other and fire at the enemy. And frankly, the ships should be in the center, but I wanted them to be up front to take the first of the enemy missile fire rather than the Free Companies. Alright, of course the enemy will charge into the Free Companies with their own monstrous infantry, and we're going to need to countercharge that with the Ogres, because obviously Chaos Spawn would be very dangerous to the fragile Free Companies. The battle is joined, and our formations are holding so far. A similar thing happened over on the left flank, where another unit of Chaos Spawn has charged in, and we have countercharged with our Ogres. I'm going to pop Occam's Mind Razor on the back alley scallywags here to make sure that, well, actually everybody in this blob, but make sure that they fight a little bit harder in melee. That's two of our units of Ogres that are protecting our Free Companies. The other two have rushed through the enemy ranks and have closed the distance with the enemy Pink Horrors, just to stop them from fighting, and of course also to tear them to shreds, because the Man-Eaters are pretty darn solid units. Even without our red line having the ability to buff them at all, we don't need it. Oh, they're just that strong. Alrighty, and looks like they have defeated the Chaos Spawn over on the right flank, and the Chaos Knights are in pretty bad shape as well, and to prevent the Chaos Knights from making use of their mass to charge deeper into the formation of our Free Companies, we simply use the mass of our own units, whether it be the Ogres or the Landships, to essentially trap the Chaos Knights in place or lock them down. And there we go, it looks like our own infantry have by and large... Ooh, nice hit from the Doom Bolt, or whatever the Tzeentchian version of that is called, from the enemy, dishing out heavy damage to the back alley scallywags, but that's pretty much all that the enemy can do so far. The Chaos Giant is nearly done for, being focused down by all those pistols, and though the pistols only do a slight trickle amount of damage compared to things like Outriders, there's still more than enough. And there we go. That said, the battle is not yet over, so we've had all of our heroes, Jürgen, Gottrick, Felix, and I keep wanting to say Valkia, Ulrika. I wish it was Valkia, but anyway. I like your character way more, but anyway. And that's coming from someone who loves vamps, but anyway. Village, basically unharmed. He's lost some of his barrier, and that's about it. Nearly 4 minutes of being hit by Gottrick and everybody here in this army is pretty powered up. I mean, look at Jürgen's stats, and that's without any additional buffs here, and they're still unable to do really anything to Village. Granted, Village has some units helping him out here, but these guys were just trying to ignore them and hit him. But yeah, good luck bringing Village down. That said, we don't need to worry about it so much because, like usual, I didn't want this to be the case here, but usually the best thing to do about Village is either to gun him down with range fire really quickly, or just completely ignore him and kill off his army. I'd say 85% of the time, and that's what I end up doing with him. And inadvertently perhaps, but that's what we're going to end up doing here. Our Free Companies have arrived and are going to make sure that they gun down the last remnants of the enemy Chaos Warriors and Forsaken, which are foolishly still clustered around our coterie of heroes. Company of heroes? But anyway. Anyway, yeah, as usual, village will break, and he will break after all this, still not having completely lost his barrier. Good lord. Good lord. Anyway, they're just going to have to do their best to give chase to him. I see his barrier is still regenerating fairly quickly as well. Anyway, they're going to give chase to him. The rest of his army will be destroyed. Frankly, he's in march stance, so it doesn't really matter. But as we've seen time and time again, a village is ridiculous. Though he will eventually get chased down by these guys and has finally started to take damage now that he can no longer cast, or his barrier region is limited. Still, nice fight. Now, you know what? Let's watch him die, actually. It took long enough to get here. Somebody bring him down, please. Alright, Gotrek, please. Look at these idiots. There we go. Looks like Jurgen will deliver the final blow. He's pretty happy about it, and I would be too, with the little laps around him. Oh, we're pretty entertaining. Not as entertaining as when we had Thorgrim do it in Thorgrim's campaign, but pretty entertaining nonetheless. Alright, there we go. Finally, the hunt for village ends, unless he comes back. But good lord, he is such an obnoxiously, or they are such an obnoxiously tanky lord. As with all four of our heroes, all of them buffed up to pretty crazy degrees, and they were completely unable to hurt him, even barely able to hurt him while chasing him down, all while he's debuffed, and hey, Eldrit's Casket of Sorcery, nice. All while he's debuffed, and due to the march stance that he was in. But yeah, at long last, that aspect of the chase has come to an end, and we should get another Templord here. About you. And just to grab Wrath of Galrock so that we don't have to waste your turn moving there and can move elsewhere. Anyway, now we're out of time, super out of time, and I'm calling it here. Next time, more stuff. Stay tuned for more Karl. Don't forget, likes and comments, all glory, etc., etc., etc. And thanks for watching.